Oh, so we're on. Hello. My dears, Gołoś and Monika Matuszewska, two producers who have in their portfolio such films as I Have Sex, There's Sex in Me, a very popular recently and very warmly received film in Poland. And this topic, what do we do in confinement, or how to produce a TV show without leaving home? Your questions and their answers will be a very valuable lesson for everybody. So thank you for being with us. Hello. Thank you very much for inviting us. We are extremely happy to be here. Let's start from several words, maybe a few words about us. I'm Maria. For over 12 years, I've been working in the film industry, and now, as I think of it, it's really horrifying that so much time has passed. I've been working on 3 feature films. I'm a Murderer, the Legend of Mietekosz, and There's Sex in Me. And since 2017, together with Monika, we're running our own company, Rozbrat Films, in which we have made What Do We Do in Confinement. I mean, we met working together because I was also working on the project in a studio, and now we're developing our own company. And the series What Do We Do in Confinement is one of the projects that we made together, and we made it in totally unexpected way, about which we will be talking shortly, probably. And let us tell you from the outset how it all happened and why it happened at that time, and we'll tell you point by point how these individual phases of the movie, which usually take a long time, and we get prepared for them for a long time, how we managed to put it all together without leaving our home. That's the plan, but if you have questions, you can always ask us. That's why we're here, to make things closer to you. I think it's a good moment to present the header of our show, and the first minute maybe.
Cześć. No jak tam, opowiadaj. Przecież nie spotkaliśmy się, tak ma być. No jak to? Przecież gadałyśmy. No wiem, że przecież, no ale jest ta chujowa kwarantanna. Poważnie mówisz? No nieźle. Szykowałaś się, dopanikowałaś, teraz co? Nie wiem. No jak zwykle. Szykujesz, jak już w końcu masz wystartować, to coś się dzieje takiego, że nie możesz. Super. Ale pamiętasz, jak się wybierałaś do Wenecji? Jak już w końcu byłaś gotowa pojechać, to ją zalało. A to co, mam się zarazić od gościa, z którym zjechałam? No fakt. No nie wiem, no jakoś to tak inaczej sobie wyobrażałam. No wiesz, że jednak jesteśmy obok. Pożegnany całus, pożegnane przytulenie. Nie wiem, ostatni seks. Co, ja mam się popłakać do kamery? Będziesz płakać po nim? No zrywam z nim, ale przecież on nie jest chyba taki zły, co? No właśnie. Bo zawsze jesteś taka miła. Przecież on nawet nie wie, że coś jest nie tak. Taka jesteś miła, że chłop się nawet nie domyśla, że tak naprawdę to już nie jesteście ze sobą. Ale już tak robiliśmy, jak był na stażu w Berlinie. To dzwoniliśmy do siebie i gadaliśmy, oglądaliśmy razem serial i no i potem gadaliśmy, no i wtedy było jakoś normalnie.
No to właśnie. Bierz się w sobie i powiedz mu to, co tam sobie szykowałaś od tygodni, żeby mu powiedzieć. I tyle.
Nie wiem, nie.
Ale to po prostu powiedz i wiemy to już wszyscy z głowy.
Hej,
Co tam słychać?
spoko.
Tak?
Tak.
Nie masz gorączki?
Nie, dlaczego?
No nie wiem, jakoś masz jakiś taki podkrążony, a czy sobie napuchnięty jesteś.
Nie, to pewnie przez ten obraz, ten streaming jest jakiś słaby, no.
No co tam słychać? Opowiadaj.
Dobrze, dobrze. No właśnie, bo chcę ci coś powiedzieć.
Poczekaj chwilę. Poczekaj, to ci mów do mnie cały czas? Kochanie, mów tylko. Poczekaj sekundkę. Nie mów cały czas.
Nie, to spoko, poczekaj.
Cześć, cioci. Powiedz cioci.
Cześć!
Cześć, ciocia. Co chciałaś powiedzieć? Co?
And this way, you saw the whole first episode of Lockdown Stories. It's really nice to come back to it. We also, for over 2 years, it all happened 2 years ago, and it's also very good to come back to that. Of course, it's good to go back to the finale of the story, and to this our product. Because the moment that we're in, it was not a nice memory. I would not like to go back to lockdown. But let's start from the point we found ourselves in. Me with Monika and Irek Grzyb and you all in the beginning of 2020. I remember that by the end of February, in the beginning of March, I got my parents. Gate crashed my parents, and I stayed there for like several months. But it was a good experience because under my blanket, I wrote on the messenger to Monica and said, "It's boring a bit. We should do something together with Irek." And Irek Grzyb, who's the director, scriptwriter, and editor of our TV show, we met him with our other projects. He was also the editor of There's Sex in Me. He's dealing with the editing. He's doing editing, but he also directed Minor Crashes before he co-directed the film. And we were also struggling to get our film done, where Agata Różycka was supposed to play. Unfortunately, we failed. However, right now it's waiting in our box to be further fought for. And we got the TV series, and that's how it started, sitting under the blanket and thinking what you can do with the free time that suddenly you appeared to us. We were also waiting in the starting blocks before starting a documentary series. And just when we had our first day filming set, you all remember that story that they will be locking down Warsaw, it would be impossible to leave, etc. It started to be really thick. The situation started to be really thick. We were like getting ready for the filming set. It all closed down very quickly, and when we cooled down, Maria wrote me and Irek at the same time, and very quickly Jurek said, "Yes, let's do something." And Irek also is a type of a author who's very fast in his actions. He comes up with plenty of ideas at once. It's not like, okay, I need like 2 weeks. I will send you the first draft, second draft of the script of the first episode. But he came up with that on the second day after our discussion. He wrote what his idea is for this role, and we decided, let's take Agata Różycka for that, Weronika Łukaszewska, and let's take Tomasz Włosek for that, because these were the actors we knew also in our private lives, so that also helped us a lot in terms of contact. So in reality, this moment from the idea to the first recordings for the first shooting was very short. And from the script writing perspective on this, I could say Irek was sending us drafts of the script. We were sort of bouncing against his ideas, but we didn't get. I didn't interfere a lot. We allowed this to be organic and natural about what it looks like right now, how it is, and how we feel it at the moment. So this scripting work was also very sort of concise and very to the point. So everybody who worked on that project added their 2 cents and their topics, their ideas. Actors also improvised quite a lot. And there was a certain, of course, there was a certain story arc, but we allowed for every episode, but we also allowed ourselves to improvise quite a lot in all of this. I also think that for us as producers, that was quite a liberating process, because as Monika mentioned, we did not interfere very strongly in the text. There was no need to do that, in my view. And the work, it is fantastic to have this work that goes very fast, because we as producers, we're used to very slow and painstaking development projects, a long and slow work on the script, which becomes frustrating at some point. So this was a very refreshing experience, this quickness and rapidity of the work. It was liberating, giving a lot of good energy. The truth is, however, that the actors also gave a lot from themselves, and quite often, already at the moment of recording, they moved away from the script, which we discussed earlier with Irek. So Irek didn't write from the outset 10 episodes. He knew how it's gonna end, but this path, we'll get to that. I mean, the scripts were writing from one episode to another. And again, when we saw that there's something interesting happening between actors, that there's some nice chemistry, especially that Bodek is or somebody has a good idea, we reacted to that, and that was a great possibility also to work in that way, because in the normal world, you do not often have an opportunity to do that. And also, if the director wants to work in such a way, then usually for the producer and for the whole crew, it's very difficult. It's a very difficult thing to allow yourself for improvisation. So that's what it looked like from the scripting point of view. So when we had the actors, and who also were sort of really willing to do something, they really pined for some action, and they reacted in a very lively way to all of that. Quite enthusiastic. It also took us some time to understand how to record it, because as you have seen, the whole series is done in such a way that the image that we have is the image as you would see in a PC camera. We did not. We didn't want to divide the screen, etc., and because it would prolong things, and we would need more resources to work to develop that. So we decided to we decided on this very clear and simple form, but it took us a while to understand how to connect in the same time, and how to record it, and where this image should be for the editing. Because in the beginning we were thinking, shouldn't we record a screen during, that somebody's connecting, as if I was connecting Maria. We were like recording each other's screens on computers, and then these are our files, which we will edit later. However, due to the fact that we wanted to be in this connection, we want to be connected with the directors, so that the director knows what's happening and would be able to navigate them. Finally, it looked like this, that we needed, there were two pieces of equipment needed, for two devices needed for everybody, and we made groups on Messenger. And in the first episode, Veronika was recorded with Agata, and then Agata was recorded with Tomek, because we didn't want to do it like white, but we wanted the actors to be in this given moment in touch. So we created a group in Messenger for every episode, and we got connected. So when Veronika was recording with Agata, so there was Veronika, Agata, Irek, me, and Maria, and we had a video call on Messenger, and the girls additionally took a phone, an iPad, some other device. They put it on the, I don't know, on the books, or they stuck it to some things to even out the levels, so that would give the effect that you're talking through a computer, and they recorded with a phone themselves, and that this file from a tablet or from a smartphone, this face, which is like pretending that it's a recording from a video call, then you just had to click video in the phone, stop recording, and those files later the actors would send it to Irek, and out of that he edited everything. And we were always in the video discussion, the video call, and when Irek said, okay, let's go, action, then me and Marysia, we would mute ourselves, and quite often later we would start the cameras too, because there were plenty of situations that it was very difficult not to laugh, but we didn't want the actors to sort of lose their composure, because we were sort of giggling. We had to sit still, but we were looking at what was happening, because that was, it was a very curious, a very peculiar experience, that you see this, and you see how these actors play with each other, and how they're like struggling with the technology, with the recording, to see if they can record everything. We tried to record sound separately, but finally we resigned from that. We moved away from that, because it was not always that there were two phones at home. So for this very simple reason, we decided that we will resign from that. But also, at the moment when Irek told us that he doesn't have to have a separate sound, and he will manage, we decided to resign from this. Also, concerning the sending of all those files, because it all sounds very easy, we did not interfere with that, and it's always very good to have on board a director who's also an editor. It's a perfect situation, and he writes. So when we were going to Krakow today, we listened to the discussion we had with Gata and Irek during Serial Con, and he mentioned that many phones meant many file formats. So then he, in his editing room, which he of course had in his own home, in lockdown, the lockdown was not a big change for him professionally as the editor. He had to reprocess everything, he had to unify, recalculate, and to make it all work together and show well. So as I reach back with my memory this process of I don't remember it very well right now anymore, but we had a moment in the beginning that we were wondering if does it make sense to get into all that, because we're quite sort of excited with the script, and that we have the actors who are willing. Irek is available, but the technical problems in the beginning a bit overburdened us in the beginning. But at the end of the day, we actually got out safely out of that. We were wondering about that, but I think there's 1 minute of thinking, because then we decided that we would need to send the cameras to the actors, but no. Initially, we wanted to be super professional, but very quickly we decided to drop that idea because it was not realistic. Yes, it was also this first lockdown when it was that moment when I was leaving to go to I was going to the shop. You had this impression that the whole world is infected, and you're getting back home. You felt that virus is everywhere around you. So all those technological problems and conundrums, at the end of the day, if somebody would require from us that you would have to get the camera from somewhere, deliver somewhere, or move somewhere, or transport somewhere, and to disinfect them, and yes, and because that was the moment where you would disinfect the packages, and you would have to wait for that. So if we're discussing that, we very quickly came to the conclusion that this is something that I think you can see at the very many stages of our work. And I think it was great that this naturality and simplicity, certain organic character of this situation. It also is something we used here. I mean, the actors are in their homes, in their own clothes, not in costumes. And when we remembered what they said about all this process of entering this, is that usually in order to become a protagonist, a certain character in a movie, you also get the tools. You get the costume, which was developed by a costume designer. You go to a location, and you work on somebody else's life. Here, they had to let us into their own life. Oh, this small child? Yes, it's Tomek's child. Yes. And in the further episodes, you will also see the partner, Malvina Pus, in Tomek's partner, and they were living at that time in a flat which was like 20-something square meters. So Tomek was coming up with many ideas so that on the screen you could see that they actually has 3 rooms and the kitchen and the bathroom. So there's also Jagoda, which also plays in here. So also adapting the fact that Tomek is recording himself from the bathroom and Jagoda is sleeping in the other room. That was also, it was very homey. And you didn't see that. We will not spoil your fun. We encourage you to watch on how it all developed. That we have Tomek, who plays the boyfriend of Agata, but he's confined in the apartment with another woman who's in reality is his partner. But this is how life forced us to use certain script writing solutions, and this is one of the situations. And I think we will not spoil it to you unless you have the will to hear the next. Yeah, I was asking about the production things, about the budget, about the talks, negotiations. How did you go through that? How did you carry that out? This is done for 0 Polish zlotys. We thought that it will never happen in our producers' lives, but it happened. And it was made based on our friendship. We were the roles were played by our friends and acquaintances, and from the very beginning, we were sending clear signals, and that was clear for everybody who were invited to this project, that we do that free of charge, based on on friendship, to fill our time, to bid our time. Maybe it was not like a play, but we would do it for pleasure. So the series did not cost us a single penny, except maybe for the work, like the creative work that was our contribution. So 0 Polish zlotys. It's good to stress or underline that, of course, we didn't have the professional equipment, but there were elements we took care about, and that we could take care about remotely, not leaving our confinement. The color correction and sound. Color correction was made by the sister of Irek, Małgorzata Grzyb, who, and still is, she lives in Los Angeles, so we were transferring files there and fro, between Warsaw and Los Angeles. And after consulting our friends, post-production friends, and Irek, we decided that if we want to release that more widely, the sound would require some correction, at least some correction. And here again, thanks to some our contacts and relations, Łukasz Świeżawski from Spot Studio helped us, and this sound engineering, to the extent it was possible, improvement of recordings from phones, it was done, and I think I'm absolutely convinced that it worked very well, taking into account the fact the equipment we had at our disposal. So post-production was also 0 for free, but it was done. I mean, later Irek would edit. We were watching, and we were introducing changes. We discussed about this. We were talking about this editing, and then it was released as in a normal post-production process. Let me just tell one thing, because when we're talking about who helped us, it's worth to mention about the great Heda, which I love, and it gives me a lot of energy. And I forgot about her a bit, while I should start it every day because it gives me happiness. The header the header was authored by Łukasz Matuszewski, yes. So it was a sort of a family service, and the music was written by Łukasz-Starak, a great composer. So we really had a great team of professionals who just said they will support us. But this leads us to your question, Marta, concerning the distribution. We decided that we don't want to. We never really thought that we will enter some sort of discussions of talks with platforms, or among others, because this series was made as a friendly service and as a friendly get-together. So we decided with Monika the best platform would be the generally accessible YouTube, and that was our decision. And Monika, you can talk about this, because this is an interesting thing, how we had to tackle this fantastic YouTube. Yes, because none of us before never uploaded anything to YouTube. Neither a private movie or a professional movie. If we need links related to movies, then we use other platforms. So never before we have clicked this publish button in YouTube. So, and here again I could mention also the professional things, but first let me tell you about those related to releasing an episode. So, how much time it took to publish from the idea of the first episode? How much did it take you? Was it 1 month, half a year? No, 3 weeks, I think. more or less.
Nie, no jakby w marcu
Well, in March, the first episode in YouTube was uploaded on the in April 2020, and we started to talk on the in the middle of March, so it was less than a month. It was very, very quick. So with Maria, you know, but these are like some small things, and all this process, and then uploading this to YouTube. With every episode, it was not so stressful anymore. But I remember when we made it for the first time, and we decided that at some time we'll exactly launch that, and that it was a very stressful situation, that it suddenly goes to the whole world, and the whole world can see that. Because we also worked that my brother, to every episode, he prepared like pictures which we uploaded into our Instagram. He made photos, GIFs, which were sort of connected to individual episodes, and we made announcements that today at 9 p.m., for example, we will release the first or some consecutive episodes. So it was a certain obligation for us time-wise. And we made it for the first time. How to make this description, how to add subtitles, because we also translated this TV show. Also answering the comments of the people, that it was all very, very new. And later it happened so that my friend at that time worked in Google, and she offered, because that was at the very end of our work, she offered that she can get us in touch with a girl who works with YouTube in Poland, so she could tell us how it how it all works, and she told us several things which we did not use before. So like promotional tools in that sense, yes. For example, the fact that it's very good if, for example, at the end of the movie that appears, that is uploaded to YouTube, that there is a certain teaser, Agata Rzutka saying, remember that in 2 days or like there will be a new episode. And these are the YouTube tricks and hacks which you have to, and it's very important also to upload in episodes regularly on YouTube. So I'm not watching a lot of YouTube, but I'm listening to podcasts, and I know that a podcast which I like and I listen, it is always published on Thursday, and I always know that Thursday morning when I enter the platform, I will be able to start the podcast. So in YouTube, you also have to sort of get the viewers attached to you, your audience attached to you, so that they remember that Tuesday, yes, this is the day which I can spend with the TV show, the lockdown stories, and we also later added those icons at the end that you can enter our channel, and that you can enter another episode. Next to it, you had the whole playlist where you saw individual what you could see the individual episodes. So if you were a YouTuber and you're used to that, I'm talking absolute platitudes, but for us, from that perspective, it was always something that we had to discover. So finally we made 10 episodes, and we also made a making of, which also for us worked as a certain souvenir. Yes, it was more done for us to complete that process and saying goodbye to the project, like an inscription of emotions that accompanied us. And it right now it is for us. It is something special because it was also made in our homes. So the tools of promotion did you sort of support yourself somehow, or did you contact the press? Because I remember that at some point we were at that time we were meeting Tomek on the Songs of Love. I remember that at that time I saw that series, and I was absolutely thrilled with that. So maybe I'm not your target group, but how was it like a domino effect, or did you have to budge some PR guys? Yes, we budged one. We moved one person. We used to get one person. We want to say that. I hopefully it will not be said. We were supported very strongly by Ania Kot in terms of promotion, and from the very outset with Monika, we had this feeling that we are able to produce this series, but in order for that to have gain a wider audience, of course we do have some contacts, but they are not sufficient. These tools are not enough. Ania Kot, where does she work now? In Netflix. That she's doing the promotion for Netflix. So Ania helped us a lot, and I think that the scale of interest in our TV show was quite big. If we consider that it was like a mini, like a like a mini endeavor. TVN24, Polish TV, interviews on radio stations, in many radio stations. So really, promotionally, it went. We cast a very wide net. What was the viewership? Well, depending on the episode, we've checked recently. I think the last episode had about 89,000 views. The first one about 20, 30. So these are not like some huge numbers for YouTube. Or I mean, I think this is like micro scale for YouTube. So we didn't go like this, that it was like a sudden hit. Of course it wasn't. But I think that the series was noticed, and the authors were noticed, the artists were noticed. When it comes to promotion, we had a lot of support. On this side, we wouldn't do that ourselves. On one hand, it was all very makeshift. It was all made at home. We didn't have pre-production. But on the other hand, we tried to retain this whole process as it should be, done, of course adapting that to the realities we worked with. Of course this process was there, so we were creating press information, and we were sending the press information to the world outside. We were uploading this information to our Instagram or our Facebook account. So we were thinking that if we're doing this, let us try to reach as many people as possible with that. And of course, in scale as YouTube, as Maria mentioned, they did like micro reaches. I mean, but it was also because we established our YouTube account especially to do that. But of course, in YouTube you need time and different tools to be noticed in that world. But I also wanted to say that watching those statistics, when I were uploading something in the evening, they were checking those statistics, and we were going to sleep. And the first thing we did in the morning, we checked the statistics again. Who saw our movie? If these are only our friends and family and acquaintances to whom we send the link and saying, "Hey, watch that," and or maybe that it would have a wider reach. And yet and finally it started, at the end of the day, it started to have the wider reach. It was a great pleasure for us. And after some time, did you do some analysis why some episodes were more watched and some were watched less? Do you have some algorithm for that? Do you have anything? Do you have any theory about that? Yes, I have a theory which is correlated with the actors who appear in a given episode. And the episode which had the least views was the episode in which I was present. So there was me and Agata Różycka. My surname was not working on anybody willing to watch it because of me. But this episode was not the worst out of all. I think it's as good as the other ones. But it is so that only Agata Różycka was the only name which is recognizable. So people who were watching us from the beginning until the end, they watched the whole episode, that's for sure. But I also think that when there were episodes where the names of the actors were more pronounced, like Agata Różycka or Tomek Włosok, that sort of there was some random people who watched a single episode. They would probably watched that episode only because Agata Różycka was playing there and me. Yeah. I also noticed this relation that certain names drew people. No, it's not a theory. It's my observation. I think the biggest force of attraction was Tomek Włosok. After a time, we noticed that at the moment when it was 1.5 year past, I think. Yes, that it got all the titles. Also, after after his film The Songs of Love, we had like those jumps, and after 2 years I noticed new comments, which was I was astonished that this series is still alive. But people watched that again because Tomek Włosok got more recognizable. His name is more loud in Poland, and people are googling him, and suddenly he appears in a totally different context in Google search, and that's why people watch, especially the last episode were clicked and viewed. It is also like that in YouTube, the things that are not continued and they're not added on again and again in a regular basis, because how this platform is built, they are going down and down in popularity, and new things appear which cover such situations. So again, after The Songs of Love or after The Gangster, when people were searching in Google Tomek Włosok, looking for interviews, additional materials with Tomek Włosok, they got our series in the results. And you could see in the comments that there was some hiatus. Several months there were no comments, and suddenly you get a number of comments under the movie. I have another question, because you selected YouTube as your medium. Didn't you think to work on the Instagram and Vimeo to publish? No, I think we were so engaged in trying to work out how YouTube works that we didn't think about any other platforms and any other methods. We had this assumption, and I think this is a question to be researched, maybe not in the conditions as we had at that time. But maybe there is some research about that. But we made this assumption that it's better to focus everybody's attention on YouTube and not get dispersed, and not to disperse your energy on other platforms. We wanted to generate all the interest and all the views on YouTube. The question remains, how would it work if we put it on a different platform and it would be available in other places? Would it be so that more people would see that, or would it be so that this viewership would get divided? I wouldn't know, but we decided to bet on this one platform. At that time, that was also what our intuition guided us to. That was the decision that we've made. Which as I've mentioned, for us, it was a great experience too, because it was a big, like a very steep learning curve, getting into something new. if we're trying like a big, we're doing a big film, everybody there's somebody else responsible for promotion for the YouTube process, and in this case usually we do not delve into that, and we do not go deep into promotion, and here for us it was a totally new situation. Yes, it was a new situation, and also think that every premiere of every episode I really experienced in a very strong way and in a special way. So I wouldn't be able to experience that on other platforms because I would probably not be able to bear that. Maybe. So it is incredible because I really was very emotional about every uploading of every episode, and I think we are late with one episode with Jovita Budnik, and I was very stressed about that it's Jovita, and we have the third episode, third or fourth, and that we have to change the date of the premiere and some technical problems, etc. And I thought that my world would fall apart, but it didn't. We uploaded the episode on the next day, and everything worked fine. But it's incredible that regardless of whether we follow box office of our movie or we follow likes in YouTube or comments, which are very diverse, you have this adrenaline. It's this connection between the heart and something. I mean, putting your heart into everything you work on, even if it's for free. Okay, I have two questions. One concerning the comments. Did you moderate the comments yourselves, and were there some hates? Yes, and you had to delete. Yes, absolutely. What did you do with them? That was Maria's work because. Thank you. I thank her and thanks God for that too, because for me that would be very, very difficult. So Maria would moderated the situations that happened there. Well, my moderation consisted in that I usually so marked with the heart the positive ones, and the negative ones I didn't delete anything because I decided I don't want to do this. It didn't make any sense to to make a selection. And because we decided YouTube to go to YouTube, we knew that everybody has the right to say whatever they want. Of course, if it was against the rules of human civility, I would delete it. But I do not remember any such situation, and I didn't enter any discussions because I didn't see any sense in that. But in majority, the comments were really good for us. I could only give hearts to that. Oh, I know it was a special situation, but would you like to repeat that format again? We were thinking about the second season in a more professional conditions. We made certain attempts and certain plans. Did you get some proposal? Yes, we got an offer of buyout of the episodes. Not. I think that we weren't there in time. Do you know who? Can you tell who tried to buy it and for how much? No, not really. These discussions didn't go outside of several emails, and we would not want to reveal what didn't happen. But I think at the moment when you start to think that we want to buy you, but for an amount which, for a very small amount of money, then we decided with Monica, no. What we do with our group of friends for ourselves to put it on YouTube is okay. But if the station comes to us, if a TV broadcast comes to us, we can't sell ourselves short because that's effort, hours of work. Plus, we thought that if we will be bought, then you have all this situation of settling things with people, contracts, copyright, etc. What about the second season? In some station for a huge amount of money? No. Later, there were no such attempts. We also got into such a moment with the first season that that it actually it caught on, and it was a good moment. But thinking about the second season, how to get out of this topic of lockdown, I think quite consciously we told ourselves that we either create a second season with the same protagonist but changing the realities, and we will be doing a new story from the outset, or maybe we'll decide that we will finish with this. And I think it was the right decision, because you can see that the topic of lockdown stopped being fascinating. It's quite dull right now, and it didn't make any sense whatsoever. As Maria said about the finances, about buying out, that it would change the rules of the game. And then you would have this situation of, you know, of the money that we would have to share with that all with everybody. What should be the rules, etc. Did you sign any contract with anyone? No. Wow, great. We have still half an hour left. It's a fascinating story. Thank you very much that you shared. But I also wanted to ask you about your business model. How do you work on an everyday basis? It's nice that you said that you're executive producers for other producers, for other entities, or not. Could you just reveal a bit more? How do you make films? How do you earn money if you have, if you work on other projects? I always like to stress that with Monica, we've learned on the battlefield, and we spent a good few years in the production reality, which is very rather unsexy. And yeah, everyone thinks it's premiere. It's a but it's like once every several years, and it lasts only one evening. So obviously, this is all great. This is not interesting anymore. Yeah, just this is what it looks like. So we forged our cooperation and forged our business model in a certain producer world reality, and working from the scratch. Our model is such that we do not share models, share projects. We always work together as a team on every project that we have in our company. Because, for example, I need the support of another person, and I think that sharing my frustrations, but also my joys and my happiness, if something happens, I need that, because I can't imagine myself working individually on the project, and it worked like this, that it came out naturally that we work in such a model. It could go in a different way, because we could have a company together, and each one brings her projects, and we have we share, and we have a project, and we decide which one of us will be working on this. But as Maria needs that, I also need this. I believe very strongly in duos, in teams, in pairs, and working with somebody, because then you have this natural possibility to bounce ideas. And looking on everything from the sides that I don't see. That's one thing. The other thing is our work can be quite difficult. It's decision making all the time. So for me, that thought that there is somebody in this process with me is very comforting on the general level. So you have a company, yes? Yes. And you're working on projects as executive producers, both of you? Or how does it work? What is your model? Tell us. That's the basic and fundamental question. We never work as executive producers. We had thoughts like that, but The only project that we did as executive producers is The Natural. And it's natural in this situation. It was a TV show for Canal Plus, and we knew that Canal Plus is the producer. We were the executive producers, but the whole production is, of course, under our wings. And in such a situation, in such a model, that's how we work. But it's a universal model for the majority of the producers. However, we do not work as executive producers for other producers, as line producers for other producers. We do not reject that, but this is not our priority. At this moment, we have 3 projects in development, and of course, you cannot pay your bills out of that. That's why I think last year we were thinking a lot, what's next? But we managed to establish a cooperation with Fremantle Media, a bigger company, for whom we are working as creative producers, looking for projects, TV shows, features, mainly for platforms. And apart from the fact that this is a really great thing to do, it's a chance to meet totally new authors. It also allows us to pay our bills and buy our groceries. And this is a model which for I think for us is a great model right now, because we can run our own projects, which we say art house author driven cinema, so like smaller movies. But at the same time, we're able to manage projects from script to filming set for a bigger company. So this is how we manage. That was also a certain process. And as Maria mentioned, last year we were thinking, how will this all work together? Because probably everybody who has a small company, producers company, they know how difficult it is to get that cash flow running, to get that money for regular spendings related both to your business but also to your private life, so that you have this. And this is always the biggest challenge. Without that, it is also difficult to develop movies. And because if right now we're in a moment when things are okay, we do not need to worry that in next month or in 2 months or 3 months we will not have money to pay our accountant. Then our energy can be more focused on development. But there's Sex in Me is a production of Studio, not Rozbrat Films, not ours. And I have a producer's credit, as is with all films made in Re Studio. I'm a producer without being an executive producer, yes, so to speak. Within the frames of the company, together with Renata Czarnkowska, I realized that film. I prepared that film, developed that film as a producer. And do you feel that this YouTube show, did it open any doors to you? Now that you look at it after 2 years, I think that did it open any doors? It didn't open any doors in the end, in the meaning that Netflix knocked at our doors and said, "Hey, make 5 more TV shows for us." No, that didn't happen. However, I think that the value of this experience is invaluable in such situations, and that's another thing that we can show, which we can talk about, which we can show around. There is it is a special situation. It's a special project that was created because that was the right moment, but also it gave us something in our portfolio that we can boast about, we can brag about, we can show, we can come to present to you here, for example. So we can share that with people. I think this is the real value, and also experiencing with Irek and actors and all the artists that were in this project. It also brought us closer together. I think I can speak for us both, but maybe not. Maybe I will speak for myself, okay? That when we entered this, really, you probably can hear that, but you have to recall how strange that situation was, how bizarre the reality was. So we did not calculate this. We didn't know how it will go, what will be the end result. So my thinking wasn't that. So it worked more like using that time. We were like just before the premiere of this. No, sorry, just before the film shooting set for our documentary series, which was important for us as a company because it was for Canal Plus. That we knew that it will be on TV, it will give us some financial space for some time. And from the point of view of our company, this documentary series was a very important milestone. Just before we entered the set, we suddenly get the information that it is all suspended, and not getting on the set is not the worst thing that can happen to you. And finally, 2 months later, it actually happened. But I think at that time we were sort of waiting for some action. We were ready for some action. That's why it happened. So if we were after half a year shooting for a TV show, then maybe we would want to lay down and rest. But we were all energized. We wanted to act, and that's why we decided to play this card in this way. To play it in such a way that, hey, let's do something. We have the energy, there is the momentum, it's the right time, we have the right artist next to us who's writing, directing, editing. He's very productive in his ideas, and he's also a good author a good artist to cooperate on such projects, because not all directors would prove their mettle in that form. Where the creation of this TV show and this reality does not, we're not doing that from the scratch. We're processing what we have. Agata and Tomek, when they didn't meet each other before. So when this festival in Serial Con, they were giving an interview, then for the first time in their life they spoke eye to eye, and we never thought that, oh blast, this is a problem. We have to find actors who know each other very well and that they know how they resonate with each other. No, we wanted to do it with Tomek, we wanted to do it with Agata, and okay, they said, let's do it, let's see if it's gonna work or not, that they never met, and it worked perfectly well. This combination between these two is really great. So at the end of the day, I think the series gave us a lot. It allowed us to work on certain things, to experience certain things, and gave us one more beautiful thing that is in our portfolio that we can boast about. Yeah, to add to that, it was not calculated. It's good that you said that for us too. I do confirm that I agree with it. But this is a good question. I started to think about it. What gave us more, Canal Plus or this documentary series or this TV show. Of course, doing something for a big broadcaster can be considered a bigger prestige, and it is more more powerful in film polski. However, this series gave us the that people started to understand that people like to work with us, that we are a duo which works efficiently, quickly, that we're able to work in a good atmosphere, which is sometimes difficult to develop. But I think that this, if something, if we had something out of that, or we got something out of that, I think some people came to us with their projects. It's thanks to our series, and people recommend us. And in our industry, this is very important. Can you say something about your professional route? How did you get to that first first mm, credits as producers? I didn't graduate from any studies related to film production. I'm a theatrologist by education, and I know like when I started work, I was like totally a total noob. And I made my first shaky steps in a show which we did for Polish TV. The program was called the Weekend Film Magazine. The Małgorzata Rostkowska-Listoś was the person who was the producer, and I started out from some very basic stuff, not knowing anything. What is the camera? How you put that all together in the editing room? How to record the lecture for the program, a voiceover for the regular, and I learned everything hands on. And 2015, together with Renata, we started to work on the film I'm a Murderer, directed by Maciej Pieprzyca, and that's where I was already a producer. Of course, that was a big sort of credit of trust and belief in my capabilities, and a huge opportunity for me. And I had a lot of luck that I could go very quickly from being an editor in a TV program to a film producer. So I had a lot of luck, but also a lot of work and a lot of getting a new of knowledge and learning hands on. A lot of great moments and huge satisfaction that I was able to do it myself, but also a lot of blunders. That's my story. And those three films, which I did in Ray Studio, in each one I have a producer's credit, which I'm really happy about. And it really gave me. It took several good years of my life, but I got. I think each one of us has this moment that you realize you want to do something for yourself, and that decision was difficult. But I also think that you had to sort of face up to this challenge, and with Monica at my side, it worked quite naturally. And I think that the fact that I made three movies, it gives us a lot more power, strength in terms of the discussions we have right now. Because of course, because the credits and like your naming the end credits is also very important. Let's not. Okay, so I started to study things not related to film industry. I was a journalism student, and at that stage, that was my idea for for my life. I worked a bit at that time in the profession. Even after I finished the high school, I did have this idea to become a producer. But I must admit that after I graduated from high school, I was not ready to face these studies at the film school in Łódź. It was sort of it sapped this idea sapped my strength, and I felt unready. After the first studies, after the first year of studies, I applied to the master's class in the Łódź. I was totally green. I didn't read anything during the exams. People were reading some books, still reading some books, film production, blah blah blah, and I really didn't do that. And I remember that during the exam, they asked me about things which I didn't even know they existed. What are those things that they're asking me? But really, I was totally green. And after the first year of studies, and they accepted me. And after the first year of studies in Łódź, I didn't go there from the scratch. I came to work in a studio because Maria and Renata were entering the set of I'm the Murderer of Maciek Pieprzyca, and they were looking for an assistant. And at that time, I was at the moment when and I think it happened so that at the moment where I said, okay, this is the moment in which I need to think where to work. This came to me then. So we were working together in Ray Studio. I was working a level lower than Maria. After a few years of mutual work, we wanted to start. We decided to go down the common path. I said, okay. I graduated from the school, but not full time. But I started from the scratch. That was a signal that we have to finish. Okay. One last final short questions. I wanted to ask, can you say something about the work of a creative producers? Is it like a 9-to-5 job, or do you have authors coming to you, or are you looking for artists? Are you analyzing the projects? Do you look for them? Very quickly. It's not a 9-to-5 job. We do not give a full-time job to ourselves. It works differently when you have your own company, your own business, and you're not working for somebody else. We're trying to do both. There are artists coming to us, but we're also looking for artists because we're working for another company. Very shortly, when it comes to the creative producers' work, for us in this definition, the most important thing is development. We really like, and we want to focus and to devote a lot of time to working on the text. So it takes a lot of time. We sometimes even question if that was a good decision to work on that so much time, but usually it's a good decision. You just have to bear with yourself through that moment of doubt. So we're trying to creatively work on the development with the scriptwriter, with the director, and we really interfere a lot. And it is so that, of course, there are some scripts coming to us and ideas, but we quite often we have an idea for something, we have a book, and then we look for a scriptwriter with whom we will be able to work on things, on projects. I think there are no more questions, so thank you very much. Thank you. That was very, very nice. Thanks a lot.